Welcome to Behind the Scenes. This is Lisa Condit on AM 830 WCRN. This week, we are so lucky to be talking with Jenna Rubaii. Jenna is the extraordinary girl from American Idiot, the musical. The national tour is coming to the Hanover Theater at the very beginning of February 1st through 3rd. And just as a little warning to parents out there everywhere, this is not a kiddie show, right, Jenna?
No, unfortunately, no.
It's a fun show. It's a fabulous show, but do not bring your prepubescent teenager with you or you're going to be embarrassed, right?
Yeah, we've had a couple of incidents. We see young kids in the front. Actually, we see a lot of young kids in the front row. And,
oh, God.
And we'll come off stage and we'll be like, oh, my gosh, that kid in the front row. I hope his parents are okay with it. I mean, it depends on the parent, but, yeah, it's definitely a show. It's adult content, so.
Well, so tell us a little bit about the show. You know, I think that some of our listeners probably are not familiar with the plot line. They're not sure what it's based on. Do you mind giving us a little overview?
Yeah, of course. Well, the story is based off of Green Day's American Idiot album, called itself the American Idiot album, and it has all the songs in that album, plus a few extra from 21st Century Breakdown. And the story is basically about three boys living in a small town, suburbia, and that want to get out of their life in suburbia, and so they decide to take a trip together, but one has to stay back because he gets his girlfriend pregnant, and then and then the other two go off into the city, and the lead character, Johnny, gets himself into some trouble with drugs, and the other one ends up going to the army.
Right.
So the three boys are separated, and they all face their own hardships, but then in the end, they meet back in the city and learning something new about themselves and becoming different people. So, but that's a summary without giving too much away.
Right. Well, it's funny because you talked about suburbia. The name of the town that they all come from is hysterical, in my opinion. What is
Jingletown.
it? Jingletown. Jingletown, USA. Now, if that's not a commentary right there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I know Billy Joe. Obviously, if you listen to a lot of his music, it comes from a lot of his own personal background, and I think there's a lot of clues from the album and in the storyline about his life living in California and how he grew up. And I mean, it's even said in interviews when he played St. Jimmy that a lot of the story is what he had to deal with and the struggles that he went through. So there's a lot of Billy Joe in the musical, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all of his music and lyrics, so
yep.
That's pretty cool, but it's also, it's a lot to live up to.
Right.
So.
Well, and I love the fact that the name of your character is the Extraordinary Girl. We were talking about that a little bit and giggling, because really, what female wouldn't love to introduce herself to a crowd? Oh, yes, I play the Extraordinary Girl in American Idiot. Hi, you can just call me Extraordinary.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, but how can it be called anything else when I'm flying around the stage?
Right.
So that's basically, that's one of my favorite parts in the show, too.
Yeah.
But, flying, it's
so
extraordinary.
So let's talk about that a little bit. That's part of a big scene, right, in this musical? And I had asked you, so how long have you been with the tour? And you were talking a little bit about the tour opening and then going on break and then the physical part. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, the show, if you do see it, it is extremely physical. The choreography, which was brilliantly done by Stephen Hoggett, the choreography in itself, it tells the story of the show, I think. It's beautiful when you see it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And but it's very demanding on our bodies. And for me also, the flying, it's just something that you need to do, and it takes a long time with practice, and you get better the more and more you do it. Mm-hmm. So now we're on a little break before our national tour. So that's, me and my my other castmate that flies with me, we're both a little nervous to come back because it's, a month goes by and it's something that you have to get used to. But once we get the show starting again, I'm sure our bodies will go back into autopilot.
Oh, I'm sure. It'll be muscle memory. So where have you already performed this production?
We opened in Southampton in the UK, and we did a whole UK and Ireland tour for 2.5 months. So we went to Southampton, Glasgow, Scotland, Edinburgh, Cardiff, Wales, Dublin, and then we finished off, we did Manchester for 2 weeks, and then Birmingham, and then we finished in London for 2 weeks.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. It really does.
It was pretty amazing to see how the audiences reacted from a different country.
And so how did they react?
It was great. The turnout was amazing, and it's very interesting because we did a few previews for 2 weeks. We did previews in the U.S., and it's pretty similar reactions to the show, but I feel like the show touches home to Americans because, it's called American Idiot, right. And there's a lot of in-your-face subject matter that I think it's a little harder for Americans to, deal with, which is fine because it's theater and it's also Green Day and it's it's very political, but it's something that I think, the British were a little more open-minded to. Well, but I think we expect that with this show.
Well, we try and have at least one edgy show as part of our subscription series every year. And I would say that this year it's definitely American Idiot for sure. It's not a traditional South Pacific. It's not really kid-friendly. It deals with some really serious subject matter, right? Mm-hmm. And it brings in a whole new audience for us, and it really does help us to fulfill our mission of attracting the audiences of tomorrow. So
yeah, well, it's great too because I watched an interview, and I know our director Michael Mayer says this all the time, but I was recently watching an interview of him too, where he talks about this show, and he says, it's funny because American Idiot, he said, is closer to the storylines of some of the traditional musical theater shows, and he's like, it's closer to more. He also directed Thoroughly Modern Millie, and he's like, it's actually very similar to that, where a boy, in this story, dreams about going someplace else, so he gets his ticket out and goes and gets through some trouble along the way, and then he learns a lesson in the end. So it's kind of the same, it's the same tale, just
with a rockin', right, with a rockin' score.
Modern and with Green Day music.
I know. That's really great. And, last year we had Rock of Ages where we had people coming and then bringing their friends later on in the weekend. I predict it's going to be the same for American Idiot this year. It's going to be our young audiences bringing other people in so that they can experience Broadway tours in a whole new way. And it's right here in Worcester. We're so excited to have it.
Oh, we are too. We're so excited.
So is there anything else that you really want to tell people about this musical or about what it's like to be on the road? Or
I would just like to say that when you come, just have so much fun. I think this show is really exciting to be in because there are a lot of shows, a lot of musicals, you don't really get to interact with the audience so much. And this one we do get to interact with the audience. It's a little different. It's like a rock. When I saw it on Broadway, I was in the front row center, and it's like a rock concert. So I just think people should really embrace it. We love being able to look out and see people mouthing along with us. And it still is a musical theater piece, so it's not like you should shout and everything, but it's so much fun. And I hope that when people come, they feel our energy because we feel it every night, and it's so rewarding to be part of a show that's that electric and so energized.
Well, thank you, Jenna.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And if people want to see a clip of the show, they can go visit our website, thehanovertheater.org, and we spell theater with an R-E at the end. We have video clips on there. We have audio clips. We have a show description. I believe we have that parental advisory one more time for people. Do not bring your young children. And also, of course, ticket prices. And you can always call our box office. They can help you with the best seats and the best performances. And again, we're so thrilled to be able to present this and offer it. And Jenna, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Well, you have a great day, and everybody stay tuned. We'll be back with more behind the scenes on AM 830 WCRN.